Right now on the National Weather Desk, bracing for impact, Florida's Gulf Coast gets ready for a major hurricane to make landfall this week.
Will approach landfall heading into Thursday afternoon, likely as a major hurricane.
It doesn't matter the category of the storm, it matters what the expected local impacts are.
Plus, the rare weather dance the storm could perform after making landfall.
It will start to actually circle around one common point. That's what we call the Fujiwara effect.
Why Michigan wineries are thriving despite unpredictable weather.
And this season, we've gone kind of back and forth.
The seasonal affective disorder isn't just in winter. It happens at the end of summer, too.
These changes in our schedules can sometimes be stressful.
And understanding the science behind the changing fall colors.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Janae Bowens. The disturbance in the Caribbean Sea is likely to become Tropical Storm Helen later today and then strengthen into a hurricane tomorrow. By the time it makes landfall along Florida's Gulf Coast Thursday, it could be a major hurricane with life-threatening storm surge and damaging winds. Meteorologist Jen Collins is tracking the tropics for us this morning.
Now, right now, as you mentioned, this system hasn't formed yet. It's a potential tropical cyclone, which allows the National Hurricane Center to issue advisories as it will impact land here over the next 24 to 48 hours. So here's the latest look at the system. Very disorganized at this time. There's no center of circulation to grab onto. So some of our models are kind of guessing at this point of what's going to happen. But we have good gauge that the system will move into the Gulf of Mexico, where it is anticipated to become a named storm. The next name of the season is Helen. So once it does, it would get that name. And then it will approach landfall heading into Thursday afternoon, likely as a major hurricane before moving onshore. Again, the impacts from the system will extend away from the center of the storm, and the exact center of the storm can be anywhere from Panama City to the Tampa Bay area on Thursday.
Folks along the Gulf Coast are getting ready for Helen's arrival, and they aren't taking any chances. We have two reports, starting with Karis Harmon in Pensacola, Florida.
It doesn't matter the category of the storm, it matters what the expected local impacts are. So you can have a fast-moving Cat 1 that's disorganized, that blows through an area and doesn't cause a whole lot of damage, and you can have a slow-moving tropical storm that can sit on an area and drop tens upon tens of inches of rain and cause billions of dollars in damage.
Patrick Maddox is the director of public safety for Okaloosa County. He says currently the county has 2 calls a day with the Florida Division of Emergency Management and 1 call a day with the National Weather Service.
The key message is that these forecasts can change. So every time we put out an update, there's a little caveat there that says on the current forecast track, because those can move left, they can move right.
Every single storm is different. They have different characteristics. There's so many different variables. And so listening to proper messaging from reliable news sources, that is, you have to do that. You've got to keep up with what's going on because these things shift.
84-year-olds Josie and Ron Boer walked us through their home in Parrish, severely damaged from flooding after Debbie, with about 1.5 feet of water. They've lived there for 20 years and tell me they've never seen flooding like it.
I can't think straight. You know, it's just affected me so much. And but hey, thank God we made it out.
They, along with their neighbors and many families in both Sarasota and Manatee counties, are still rebuilding after Debbie inundated some areas with flooding and rain back in August. The couple is doing their best to forge ahead, though the idea of another storm brewing and what impacts, if any, they could see again is a lot to grasp.
I couldn't take it. I don't think, could you?
You have to.
While they're preparing for what could be another storm this week, Manatee County officials encourage people to take any necessary precautions now to protect their property against possible flooding.
Once the hurricane makes landfall, it's expected to perform a weather dance with another low-pressure system. It's called the Fujiwara effect, and plenty of people across social media are talking about it, so we asked meteorologist Katie Morgan to explain.
Fujiwara effect. What is it? You may have heard it from the movie Twisters. It is an actual meteorological thing and phenomenon. Let's take a look at it. Of course, first, this is a look at the current track of what will likely become Helen. This is as of Monday evening. So what is the Fujiwara effect? Above here is one of our long-range models that we're looking at. And there are two low-pressure systems, of course. The one on the right is Helen, and the one on the left is an upper-level low. When you get two areas of low pressure like this that are spinning in the same direction and are close enough together, sometimes they can end up spinning around one common point. And that looks to be what may happen later this week. This is a little more common over the ocean with two hurricanes, but it can happen over land. As you can see, the upper level low and Helene will move in and onshore, and then they will start to actually circle around one common point. That's what we call the Fujiwara effect.
Over in the Pacific, Hurricane John made landfall as a Category 3 storm Monday night along the southern coast of Mexico. According to the National Hurricane Center, John had maximum sustained winds of 120 miles per hour. 6 to 12 inches of rainfall is expected across coastal areas through Thursday, along with life-threatening storm surge and significant flooding. We also want to mention there's a slight risk of severe thunderstorms in Kentucky and West Virginia today. There's also a marginal risk across the Ohio and Tennessee valleys and the southern plains. With the potential tropical cyclone developing in the Gulf of Mexico, strong ocean waves are a given. But did you know that such storms can cause mountain waves? Meteorologist Kit Alexander explains.
Mountain waves. It's a large-scale wind pattern that typically happens in the cooler months from the fall to early spring. This weather phenomenon occurs in many mountain ranges across the globe. One of the main effects of mountain waves are strong wind gusts and turbulence that can impact aviation. Let's talk about how they form. Mountain waves develop when strong winds hit a mountain range at a perpendicular angle. The wind is forced to rise over the mountains and redirected toward the ground in a wave-like pattern. Mountain waves need three conditions to form. These include a wind flow that is blowing against the mountains, a stable layer of air above the mountains, and increasing wind speed with altitude. Just like a fast-moving river, when water flows over a large boulder, the atmosphere behaves in a similar manner. When the winds encounter a large mountain range with stable air in place, the air wants to remain at the same altitude or descend. But in this case, it's forced to rise over the mountains and immediately descend on the other side in the form of a wave. Localized wind gusts can exceed 80 miles per hour near the base of the mountains, but can be much lighter just a few miles away.
Now let's head to northern Michigan, where grape growers are preparing for this year's harvest. Despite unpredictable weather conditions, vineyard owners say this year's crop is shaping up to be excellent. Meteorologist Trevor Robideau explains how changing weather helps produce the best fruit.
This year is a little bit early. The dryness is quite beneficial.
For most farmers, not enough rain can pose a problem, but Fless says grapes react differently.
You might be able to see a couple yellow leaves, and so the vines are showing drought stress at this point. They're starting to decide to drop a few leaves because they're perspiring too much water, and they want to minimize that, and so they're starting to drop some leaves. So that is a sign of stress, and a little bit of stress in wine grapes is okay.
Some would even say the best wine comes from very stressed grapes, but Fless believes the best wine needs a perfect balance.
An ideal season would be one that we don't get too much moisture or too much humidity. We get just enough.
Weather variability is bringing new challenges, but also new possibilities.
We would definitely look at, can a vine survive this variability in winter temperatures? So climate change is on our minds, certainly, I think. Can this variety thrive? Maybe there's a variety that we haven't typically grown in Michigan that could now start to become more reliable. 2024 harvest stands to be an excellent harvest. The quality should be very high.
Full moons cause higher high tides and lower low tides. Last week's supermoon brought exceptionally low tides to several areas, including Seattle and the Puget Sound. A viewer in that area captured these great shots, spectacular views of brightly colored sea stars, anemones, sea urchin, and other aquatic life that wouldn't typically be visible. Low tides are not a threat to mollusks and crustaceans. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll find out how to grow the perfect autumn mums. And we'll help you better understand the science behind the changing fall colors.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with Look at the Northeast. We have more pleasant weather on tap for today. Look for a lot of sunshine in the Northeast. That's about, 7 o'clock in the morning. Notice there are some more clouds and there are some showers developing over western parts of New York during the course of the afternoon here. That's about 2 o'clock or so. We should be topping out in the 60s and low 70s. There's a chance for a few showers on Wednesday. Expect a lot of clouds midweek. Any steady rainfall should hold off until Thursday.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. More clouds and dreary conditions for your Tuesday. We'll see some patchy areas of light showers or drizzle to start. Later in the afternoon, we could see some heavier bands of rainfall. And once again on your Wednesday, still cloudy with rainfall more likely. Temperatures will be stepping upward through the next couple of days as well. Highs will be in the upper 60s, maybe the low 70s on Tuesday afternoon, but we should be a few degrees warmer with everyone in the 70s by Wednesday.
I'm meteorologist Charlotte Carl. Here is a look at your high temperatures for this afternoon. We're dealing with the low in mid 80s up in the further northern portions of our area, and then low 90s everywhere else. We'll have a frontal boundary make its way through the northwestern portions of Mississippi, Alabama, and even into northern Georgia. However, the main thing that we are talking about is this tropical system moving through the area, most likely to make landfall somewhere in the Big Bend of Florida later in the week.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
This wide dust devil was spotted east of San Antonio on Sunday. They form when a pocket of hot air near the surface rises quickly through cooler air, forming an updraft. A viewer in Maine caught up with this moose as it was out for a Sunday morning stroll. And the Rocky Mountains are seeing plenty of fall colors, including here in Utah.
Want to see your weather photos and videos on TV? Click Chime In on this station's website to share.
What's the recipe for perfect fall colors? Well, they're things like temperature, moisture, and daylight. Rex Hodge has more from North Carolina.
The ingredients for fall color are the same every year, but aside from the predictable loss of daylight, the weather quantities are variable.
I'd like to say with great optimism that we're on track for what I would call a good fall season, yet to completely be determined if it's going to, be what many people would call great.
That's the prediction from Western Carolina University biology instructor Darby Harris. He says our mountains could use some rain.
Severe drought could be a problem, but we're not there yet.
And Harris says sunny days and cooler weather into the mid-40s or upper 30s are needed too.
Cooler nights is really what would be helpful for peak color production.
Dabs of yellows and oranges dot the landscape around the Blue Ridge Parkway as photosynthesis is underway. That brisk temperature can add to the palette.
You get more red production in the trees that produce a red pigment.
It's beautiful up here, yeah.
Emily Grimes is enjoying getting out of Raleigh and taking some mountain hikes.
There were a lot of reds, and there were a lot of leaves on the ground, and there were so many different climates in there. You see the leaves change in the different climates.
At 5,000 feet along the Blue Ridge Parkway, a visiting family from Pennsylvania taking in the newly changing season with their young children.
It's absolutely stunning. It's beautiful out here.
For them, the timing to visit is just right.
It's not too busy, not too crowded, but at the same time, the views are stunning.
Just how this tapestry will change in coming weeks depends on an artist called Mother Nature.
Although summer has come to an end, it doesn't mean the end of gardening season. In fact, in some areas right now is prime time for mums. Meteorologist Amy Aronson spoke to an expert about why this time of year is perfect for these colorful fall plants.
Number one, the temperatures are way cooler than they have been. I mean, we've really suffered through some
over 100 degrees all this summer, which has really made it tough on these plants. Now's the best time, especially after a day like today where it's got some rain, the ground is soft and really easy to work. You want to get these perennials, annuals, trees, shrubs in the ground, get them watered in so they can get established so they can survive through the winter. And then come spring, they're all set. So this is really the best time to plant.
And it's the best time to plant mums too.
The mums, the pansies, celosia, they all love cooler temperatures and they thrive in cooler temperatures. And look at the colors they come in. We've got the yellows, the oranges, the reds, all these nice fall colors. They just are very happy this time of year. And I don't know about you, but I'm ready for a change at home because all my things are looking a little tired.
And here's the secret to giving these mums a long life.
The first thing you should do is buy mums that are tightly budded. So you don't want the ones that are all bloomed out at the store because they're not going to last as long for you. Second thing is water them, water in the soil. Do not water the tops of the leaves or the flowers because that's what's going to make them like not look as pretty and get little brown spots.
Okay. And if you do all these things, these mums should last through the fall.
If the weather stays in our favor, they should last through Thanksgiving. I mean, they're not going to make it through a frost, nothing is.
In Baltimore, Maryland, I'm meteorologist Amy Aronson.
For many people, the change of seasons doesn't just signal the start of more colorful leaves and cooler temperatures, but a change in mood. Barbara Morse spoke to an expert to learn more about seasonal affective disorder.
We associate the summer with this joy and freedom and lack of structure.
Pool time, lazy days at the beach, the sun, the heat.
I often joke that there's like a dopamine crash for some people when the fun of summer activities end and we start adjusting back to these busier schedules of school and work.
Ashley Karpinski is the executive director of behavioral health at CVS. She'll tell you many people look forward to fall and festivals and the holidays. But for those who may struggle, could be because there's more structure.
I think you start by just realizing and acknowledging that these changes in our schedules can sometimes be stressful.
Create plans that include a good night's sleep, rechart routines.
Remembering that it is important to get outdoors and continue to get that vitamin D, even though the weather is starting to change.
Focus on the positives.
The power of the mind is very real. And so you have to start to think about, how do I make these new plans? How do I reduce some of the stressors in my life?
For some, though, it goes beyond making simple adjustments.
Often we think of seasonal affective disorder as a winter thing. But the truth is that SAD is a form of mild to moderate depression that can occur in any season.
Now, climate change science can be a heavy topic to discuss with your kids. So this week, we enlisted the help of an organization called Science Moms, mothers helping mothers to better understand climate change.
So we've already seen, from a perspective over the last few decades that our temperatures have been increasing. I think also as your 4-year-old grows up, more and more extreme weather, greater increases in the amount of carbon pollution that are put into our air, the more or poor air quality that we experience in that way. So I think your daughter, all of our kids will just see those impacts from temperatures, from extreme weather, to just air quality in general. Yes, so I think it could be good. It could not be, right? The more and more you use your air conditioning, the more energy costs that are put out there and the more impact that it's having on your wallet. Maybe can you consider other alternatives for heating and cooling of your home? So you could consider something like a heat pump, which is sort of an air conditioning unit and heating system in one. But the good thing about heat pumps is that many states and also at the federal level are providing a number of different tax incentives or tax credits if you think about swapping out, whatever you currently use to something like that. But I think it's really important for kids to have those feelings, right? And for us as parents to really normalize that it's okay to have those feelings. If you're scared, if you're anxious about it, I think the best way to not feel scared about the issue or to have that fear is to do something to help. So it goes back to what can I do? So if you feel as though you're contributing to the larger problem or to help solve the larger problem, then you feel a little bit less scared or anxious.
To hear Dr. Burt answer even more of your climate questions, check out this week's episode of our podcast, Off the Radar. Find it anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Hello, I'm meteorologist Sarah Converse. We have a low pressure system tracking through the Midwest, bringing in rain showers and thunderstorms and even the threat for severe weather along the Ohio River Valley. Winds, potentially even some isolated tornadoes possible. Temperatures will be in the 70s. And then for tonight, drying things out as that cold front moves out, will be in the 40s to the plains and 60s closer to the Ohio River Valley.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. Things are downright nice all the way from Oklahoma City back over to El Paso. Little rain for Little Rock. It's warm and humid all the way down across the southern part of the region. Very weak stationary front will slide a little bit back up to the north. We'll see sea breeze showers and scattered rain out across East Texas and into Louisiana. Temperatures will stay cool up north, but boy, will really warm up down south. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Well, hi there, everybody, and a happy Tuesday to you. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Beautiful September weather out west. Look at the 70s along the coastline of California, 80s in the interior, including in the Treasure Valley of Boise, Idaho. Phoenix, you're back into the heat. 106 there in the Valley of the Sun today, but really pretty quiet all the way through the west. Four Corners all the way up to the PNW, looking sunshiny as we head into our Tuesday. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Some fall leaves are changing color already, but the brilliance of fall is still on the way in some parts of the country. Erica Striva explains the science behind the changing fall leaves.
As the days continue to get shorter and the weather eventually cools on down, the green color that all of the trees are still displaying right now, we're going to start to lose that. And there are a couple different chemicals that go into play as to when we lose that chlorophyll, which of course is the green pigment in those leaves, we start to see more of the yellows, oranges, and reds. And that's actually because of three different chemicals that are in the leaves. The first one with the yellow color, that's xanthophyll. We have the orange color, courtesy of carotene, and also anthocyanid. That gives us that reddish color on those leaves.
We'd love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us on all of your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Just search the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Janae Bowens. Make it a great Tuesday, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.